Welcome to Faith on Tap, a podcast where we go out to the wilds of local breweries and talk to you about, thoughts and various topics that are important to all of us. We are here again at Five Church Brewing in New Britain. They have a large list of beers. Sadly, they only had one that I was interested in. It was an Imperial Stout that was referred to as what, Liz?
Massacre.
Nice place, beautiful atmosphere. Not my favorite beer. It's
15.8 ABV, but
15.8.
15.8.
Wow. I shouldn't have had my fourth one then, I guess.
Wow.
It feels like it was made basically with.
Yeah, well, to me, it's
molasses.
like plum.
It tastes like it was. Yeah, it tastes like it was made with molasses.
It's very, I don't like sweet stouts, but that's what this is. You seem a little happier, Dennis, since you're on it.
Yeah, I got my usual IPA. I went with the Steeple People.
Because of the name?
Just because of the name.
I figured.
It's actually very refreshing, very crisp. It's a good IPA.
It almost looks like a cider, to be honest.
Yeah, it's got that color to it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That or urine, but yeah.
Not mine, but urine.
Correct. So we are going to be asking a little deeper question tonight. Last week, we were asking a question about keeping New Year's resolutions, but we're going to be going dark since in January, we have long, long nights, cold nights, kind of a dark mood. We talk about death, if you fear death or not. And I'm going to be interested in what people say. What are your thoughts, Liz?
What people will say? I think everyone's afraid of death.
What is there to be afraid of, do you think they'll say?
That they don't want to disappear into nothing. And the other choice is what? Then some people will joke and say, I think we'll just all go straight to hell, but it'll be a big party. That's the kind of thing I'm afraid they're going to hear. I don't know if this crowd is that crowd.
It takes more than four to be a crowd.
What do you think, Dennis? You deal with death a lot in your job. So what do you think people fear?
I think it'll be the first time they consider the question. And in that, most people will say, yeah, or I don't care, I'm going to party with those in hell and stuff like that.
Do you think that will depend on age? Do you think younger people have a different view than older people?
Absolutely. Even the staunchest of atheists tend to soften their views on death as they get older, as it gets closer.
I think that we're going to find that out to be true. Any last thoughts before we go out into this huge crowd and ask people?
I hope we can overcompensate for the incredible amount of noise that we're dealing with here.
If you don't hear from us in a week, that means we were taken captive by the crowd.
Well, let's see what they have to say tonight.
Are you afraid of dying?
Am I afraid of dying?
If so, why?
I would say, I think the biggest thing about the fear of dying is not knowing what's going to come after, whether there is an afterlife or nothingness.
Have you ever been affiliated with any type of mainline religion?
Not really.
No. I'm sure you know the
Catholic, but
okay. So you know the stories of what
Yes.
can happen or from the Catholic perspective.
correct.
And do you buy into those or do you hold your own beliefs?
I hold my own beliefs
Mhm.
just because I'm an intellectual, and you know what I mean. I do believe that the universe did start somewhere.
Mhm.
There was a miracle, whether you want to call it the Big Bang or God or whatever, your belief is. I do believe there must have been a start,
Mhm. Is there any way for you to know for certain what happens at the last call?
No, but that's the biggest mystery, isn't it? Between Catholics, Christians, Jews, whatever,
Mhm.
Muslims, atheists, nobody really can say for sure what will happen. I mean, nobody's actually, died, seen the other side and came back. So
Right.
the one guy that they said did come back was Jesus, and he's not really here to put in his
Yeah.
own perspective. So
So where does faith come into play for you in the context of dying?
I don't really have faith like that. I believe people should be good just because they should be. You know what I mean? It's already a dark enough world. We already have enough problems. So I think it's nicer to treat people with respect and love and not with any animosity or anything or judging people by their gender or their decisions and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you so much, man. You were very insightful. That was really good.
Appreciate that.
Are you afraid of dying? We don't have any inside information. Don't worry.
Pretty unknown afterwards. You know, it's not exactly the thing that comforts me at night. You know,
But you don't think about it.
oh, I do. Yeah,
Is there a fear involved in that, or
for sure.
is it
Yeah, for sure.
with a fear comes from the unknown, or is there something more?
Oh, definitely the unknown.
Is there any way to change that? Research, just find out what you think it might be?
No, because no one's been there, so no one could give a firsthand report.
Okay.
So when you mentioned Lent before,
Yeah.
do you have some type of Catholic or Christian background?
Oh yeah, I was raised Catholic, so it's definitely the guilt runs strong deep in the veins.
Is there any part of that still in you now?
I hope not.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Would you like to answer the question? So you're not afraid of death?
I'm not afraid of death because it's the only thing that's guaranteed after you're born.
A lot of things are guaranteed doesn't make them great.
Yeah, but
Taxes are guaranteed. That's
well,
not great.
Unfortunately, yes. But what I mean by that is, unfortunately, the only thing you know for certain as far as your life is concerned is there is an end to it. And that's why I'm not afraid of death. It's going to happen. So I'm just going to live my life while I live my life.
When did you start coming to this kind of philosophy?
I couldn't answer that really honestly because as long as I could remember, I've just felt that way. It just is the way life goes.
Is this like something that's like a family trait? Is this like something that the rest of your family shares? Or is this kind of, since you were a kid, this is how you felt?
I grew up in a mixed religion household, so probably I would guess it was pretty much my own belief, and maybe it was because of that, the mixed religion. So, yeah.
Are you afraid of dying? And if so, why?
I am not afraid of dying. I accepted it, because if you're afraid of it, you're going to get anxious and depressed and like stress and all that good stuff and all at the same time. So you're just be like, it's coming. You have to accept it. Like, it's coming for all of us. It don't matter what day, because it could be tomorrow or like in a couple hours or whatever, That's why I accepted it.
Now you're freaking me out. A couple hours.
You never know.
There's something we don't know.
We checked the sky recently.
It might be around. You never know. Shoot. So I have accepted it. Like, I welcome it. Like, if it happens, it happens.
So no fear of the unknown
No.
or anything.
I do not have any fear of the unknown.
And what do you think happens after death?
Complete darkness.
Mhm.
Like, dark.
Done.
Yeah, done. Like, reset. You get another life somehow. Like a video
reset?
game, kind of.
A video game.
Yeah. Like, you get another life, but it's different.
Okay. And what say you?
I feel like there's reincarnation, so I'm just gonna go back in another body and redo the things that we need to do to get to our best higher selves.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know?
reincarnation, the whole
The whole thing, baby, to
to a higher
adult again.
level and all that kind
Like
of stuff.
just until we get it.
So you improve your life and you become more
Your higher self,
powered. Okay.
your higher
what's
self,
your
and
ultimate goal?
enlightenment.
Do you think will be?
Enlightenment?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
What does enlightenment to you mean?
Enlightenment means spiritually being my higher self, spiritually and like all loving and ascending.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So are you afraid of that? Not afraid of
No,
what
I'm
you're
looking
saying?
forward to it.
Okay, so death holds no chains.
No,
on
I'm
you.
looking forward to it because it's going to be another chance to do the things that we need to do to be our higher selves.
Hopefully, you don't look too forward to it where you're going to speed things up.
No, not like that. I mean, if it happens, it happens.
Not with her cooking available.
You gotta stick around with that.
Thank God for Planet Fitness.
Well,
Planet Fitness.
I like your sweatshirt, by the way.
Yeah.
The
Very nice.
faith thing.
Faith.
It's nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you guys.
Enjoy. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Mark.
And hi, theological trailblazer.
Boom. Microphone drop.
Theological trailblazer. All right. Are you afraid to die? Well, that was the question, anyways, we asked the people.
Mm.
Thoughts out of the gate? Any thoughts when we
I'm not afraid to die. Getting dead's got me concerned. Like, I want to go like my grandfathers in my sleep, massive heart attacks, just not wake up. But, a blaze of glory doesn't sound out of the question for me. So,
What about the thoughts of the people?
that.
Who cares about them?
It's kind of all over the place. I'm not sure how honest they were necessarily being. Oh, I don't think about it at all.
It was kind of flippant, wasn't
It
it?
was a little flippant.
Yeah.
I'd be interested if that were actually true, and I'm not 100% convinced. And people just kind of, they didn't necessarily have a really strong hold on what they even believe themselves. There's a lot of vacillation.
Definitely believe that. I mean, when we talked to the first couple talking about reincarnation. Now, again, if you're a Hindu or if you're a Buddhist and you strongly believed in that, I could respect that. That's your belief system. But these people have no, as far as we know, no religion to back their support. They just, I'm going to turn into something else. Yeah, it's nice to think that.
And one of the young ladies, she actually said, oh, we just lights out and we're done. And then she flipped on that and said, until we come back. And I'm like, that's two different things.
She was talking about like dark. It's just dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you come back.
Yeah. Over and out. And then we're back. And it was just like,
I'm telling you what, if I come back, I'm going to be upset. I don't want to do this again.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, because your whole
you.
Christian walk could be wrong. I'd be really upset.
Yeah.
Right?
Good grief.
But these people have no intellectual belief behind it. It seems like they just want to delay the finality of it. Yeah, I don't want to think about this being the end. I'll just come back as something. So it doesn't really seem like the end after all, because to confront that question, that really starts going into your soul.
I think reincarnation doesn't...
It delays the inevitable.
It delays the inevitable, but it's also this sense that you don't actually have accountability, because it'll work its way out eventually, but you don't actually have to do anything to make that happen.
It's just a natural progression of progress. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, do you think most people have a hidden fear? I mean, most people aren't going to say, I'm scared to death to die. But
well, I've sat at the deathbed of a number of people, even some of the Christians that I've sat next to. There's an apprehension, like this is the end. Everything that I've staked my life on, God, I hope it's true. And then I've spoken with others. I sat at the foot of the bed of a woman whose sons were telling her, there's nothing more that we can do for you. And she looked and said, I'm going to go see Jesus. And they said, yeah. And she was perfectly fine. And so you have that tension of complete, utter yes, or, oh my goodness, I hope this is true.
Have you ever sat with someone who was not a believer at all?
I have.
How does that look?
The ones that and it haven't been many, it's only been two. They were angry. There was no breaking down that. I couldn't break down the anger. They were just angry at life, angry at the situation, angry that they're suffering from this, and there's bad people in the world that are thriving and wanted nothing to do with Jesus. Actually, I guess now it's three, because I think about my father. Tried to explain the gospel to him many, many times, and he just would not think of it. And I hope in his last moments, he cried out to God. That's my hope.
Amen. It seems to me that there is hidden fear that they know personally if they don't have a relationship with Jesus, there's really no good reason to believe in the afterlife, and there's nothing they really should expect after they die, which to me is extremely lonely and scary. Not knowing, if you are convinced that there's nothing after when you die and you're dying, that's got to be frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, we all die. We can't escape that. And a logical person needs to deal with that. So I mean, intellectuals who don't believe in God, they have to come to terms, their own terms. Now, what do you think if you're not a believer and you really have thought about it, where does your brain go?
In America, probably, I think the statistic is somewhere in the 80s. 80%, let's just say, believe in God. Those 80% believe that you just have to be a good person.
Right.
And a good person doesn't kill people. A good person doesn't rob banks. A good person doesn't kill puppies. And so as long as I don't kill people, puppies, or rob banks, then I'm in.
And as long as the good that I do outweighs the bad, that will get me in. Yeah. And it's all about works and counting the works, which is scary.
Yeah.
Especially if they knew some of the things they did that were good, why they did them.
Yeah. And that's reinforced in any television show or movie that covers this topic. Absolutely. Yeah. I can't think of many exceptions to that whatsoever.
I think of Psalm 19 and David writes, forgive me of the sins I don't even know I'm committing.
Yeah.
What chance do we have without a savior?
Right. Paul does likewise, right? Like Paul says, I don't want to, and I'm doing it. I don't want to, but here I go again. And this is Paul. Yeah. It's like, what chance do we have?
Exactly.
When I started thinking about it, I was sitting down writing these notes and thinking, okay, what are the reasons people are afraid to die? These are the things I came up with, and you can comment if I'm off base, if I'm hitting the mark, or if you have anything to add with it. Like unknown territory. Death is the ultimate unknown. And if you have no faith, what the heck's going to happen? And I think that would be like as I'm getting older, I start thinking about death a lot more. And I talk to people. I go to a lot more funerals. And you talk to to people, and there is that unknown factor. Do you think that's a key point that a lot of people, when they give thoughts about dying, why they might be afraid?
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
One for one so far.
Well, yeah, it's, it is the great unknown. Even in the Christian perspective, we go by faith. And faith is believing in things unseen.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I've sat at the deathbed of some Christians who are just like, I hope this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it is, even for the Christian, it's unknown.
Mm-hmm. What about loss of control? Do people have a lot? They control a lot of their lives. You control when you get up, what you're going to eat, et cetera, et cetera. And death is one of the few events which you have no control over. Is that a fear?
I never thought of it in that light at all.
Yeah. I've never quite considered it in that way.
I get that. Maybe because I'm more of a controlling type guy. I like controlling my life and self-made type person. That's one of the things I have to struggle with. It's like basically anything I set my mind to, I can do it. Well, I'm dead. I don't have any control at this point.
I think there is a vulnerability in coming to the end. I don't want to get too graphic, but diapers are involved and catheters are involved and being fed and ice cubes on your lip. I mean, it is a very vulnerable place.
And it has to be incredibly humbling for a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, it would be for me.
Yep.
Loss of relationships.
That's the biggest one for me. Like if I was to get a cancer diagnosis today, I have a granddaughter coming in June. I have my son's wedding in September. That would be just a big ugh. Because God heals and sometimes God doesn't.
Right.
We all die, So yeah, that I think he hit that one solid.
Here's more of an abstract one. I am also a fan of Soren Kierkegaard, so this might come from here, but existential anxieties. Kierkegaard, he's a Christian French philosopher. He talked a lot about this existential dread related to death. He relates it to, say, you're driving down the road and there's a cliff on your right. You have full control to take that steering wheel and turn it quickly to the right and you'd be dead. That's a dread because you have total control over that situation. You can end your life just like that. So existential anxiety would point to the fear of the meaningless or the realization that one's own mortality leading to the anxiety about how one has lived their lives. You go through your life and go, did I do it right? What if I was wrong?
Well, I can claim that I've been wrong many times in life, and regret's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When my father died, I had a lot of regret that I had to look right in the face, and the way I did it was put a big picture of him right on my desk and have to deal with all the things that I had to deal with, because I think regret is a huge driver of the dread of death.
And if you're like any good Christian, once you ask for forgiveness for that regret, Jesus forgave you, and still you beat yourself up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just the enemy in our brain. Going, really? Dude, you blew your father off that many times, and now he's dead.
Yeah.
Really?
Good job.
And those are the things I had to, come to grips with.
Legacy and the impact you've had on people, or once you're gone, the lack of impact you'll have on people. I don't know if that's more of a guy thing. What do you think, Liz?
I don't think about legacy at all.
Nice. I guess it's more of a guy thing.
It is. Yeah, I think it is. We all want to be. The reality of it is the average person is going to be forgotten within a generation. So our legacy may live on without our name attached to it in some way, shape, or form. But I think legacy is a big deal.
Another cheery note I have. This weird one, but cognitive awareness. The fact that we are aware of our mortality and our death. I mean, I look at my dog, Phoebe. She does not fear death. She doesn't fear 5 minutes from now.
She fears not getting a cookie.
Right now.
As her ears went up.
Her ears went up.
We do have the unique ability to conceptualize our own mortality. And that is scary in its own right. If we didn't have to think about it, then obviously that's great. Oh, yep. I'm dead. Well, I'm not even thinking I'm dead. So all those factors together leads for a reason to be fearful. And again, you said you can be a Christian and still have that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
You can have all the faith in the world.
It would be nice if it was assurance upon assurance, but it's death. And when it's yours, that's a whole different ballgame. From when you're in the bed and not sitting next to the bed, it's a different game.
Seeing my mother and father pass, watching them both pass in real time, you just start thinking of all that they've done, their faith walk, what they've done in their life. And then, of course, quickly, I selfishly look at, okay, what have I done? Is it going to be the same for me? Will I look back and say, well done, good and faithful servant? What I have done was something that Jesus will be proud of me? Or
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want to hear.
I think that's what we'll hear, but we're not convinced in our own minds. Theologically, that's what the scripture teaches. Emotionally and subjectively, I ain't even close.
Let me turn this around one last thing and go the opposite route. Talk me down off this one.
Don't do it. Don't jump.
Philippians 1:21. We all know what Paul says, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. And then in Revelations 21, which is funny because you preached about Revelations 21. Listen, now we listen to what you say, Pastor. Where in 4 it says, and he will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things have passed away. Now, with those two thoughts, if you are a Christian and you fought the good fight, shouldn't you look forward to dying?
Yes.
Should you look forward to dying more than living then?
Yes.
Then it shouldn't be wrong for someone to end their life?
Wrong.
Because?
Well, then you're playing God. For me, it's that simple. We should desire to be with Christ, but knowing that he has given us a certain amount of time on this earth and a certain calling and certain giftings, we should be living those out all in the looking forward to one day we will be with him.
What if you've fought the good fight, you've done all the things that you think God has used you for, and you're not using those gifts anymore. And there's not a lot of need for others in your life that you feel that you can have an impact on. And you're seeing heaven and saying, if I've done everything God wants, I can't see any use that I could be in society anymore. What's the point?
I would say first get over yourself. To say that you still have breath in your lungs and there's nothing that God has for you is a lie. It is a kind of self-defeatist attitude. That's just not true. You are on mission until lunchtime, the day of your funeral, from God's perspective. And there's always another person to talk to. There's always a door to be open. There's always a blessing to be given, no matter if you're 9, 19, 29, or 99.
About 109.
If you make it there,
You'll make it anyway.
Amen.
So we went full circle again. We went to why people are afraid to die. We talked about all the reasons that Christians, non-Christians alike are afraid to die. We've heard people masking their feelings and jokes, little pithy things that they say. And then we talked about what about someone who's made it their whole life and wants to be with the Lord? And you're saying that's a great attitude to have, but not yet.
And you are with the Lord here, and I get the desire to be face to face.
But right now we still have crying and pain and death.
We do.
Yeah.
But those verses in the Revelation is the second coming of Christ. So when he comes and establishes his kingdom here and we're reborn again with glorified bodies, I'm going to have hair and I'm going to have abs. I'm going to look good.
Like me, almost.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
With hair.
With hair. And abs.
And abs. Right now I have an ab.
Liz, you've been awfully quiet. You have any final words?
Well, I don't know if it's final, but it was clear that Paul was familiar with Plato's cave, that had been around, that whole idea. Because he's talking about,
Talk about that whole idea.
The whole idea of here we are, feel a lot of maybe modern America is kind of like in Plato's cave, that we're just staring at the wall inside of a cave and we just see shadows. And we're just so entertained by those shadows. And we never try to figure out what those shadows are until one of us decides to turn around and see, oh, those are just little puppets. And then we stare at the puppets for a little while and go, oh, but what is that light behind the puppets that's making them visible? So we travel outside the cave and we find out there's sunshine in a real world that was causing the light to fall upon the puppets that created this false impression of reality inside the cave. And I feel like Paul was aware of this. It seems some of what he says echoes that. And maybe that's kind of where we are. And we have to, when Jesus says we're salt and light, we need to be that light that people go, wait a minute, what's that? And then kind of follow us out of the cave. We're the ones pointing to the light. If we're just willing to be shadow puppets and not expose Jesus as the light to these people, again, kind of falls on us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're enjoying, honestly, we enjoy the shadow puppets too.
We do. So much easier.
It is. It's so entertaining. Look at it. It was hilarious. And
it takes no engagement. No.
There we have it. Are you afraid to die? Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Tune in next episode when you'll hear Dennis say,
Yep.